Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 29 of our Bagua Zhang Class Notes. This time we did mostly the same as we did last week. So starting off with our shoulder preparations. I just told the people in class that we are focusing right now on shoulder work, on stabilizing our wrist, our elbows, and our shoulder joint, because we are going to get into staff practice in the middle of August, and then spending the rest of the year learning both the Xingyi staff form as well as our Bagua Zhang staff form, which is quite a long form. And well, we need some preparation. We need to understand how to grab a solid staff and to play with it without increasing too much tension in the shoulder girdle, and as well specifically in the traps here in our shoulders. Okay, so the first part of this class yesterday was dedicated to building some strength from the fingertips up to the shoulders. And if you want to see the exercises we did, you can find them in the last Bagua Zhang Class Notes episode. So, because this time I didn't film those preparation exercises, I put up the camera a little later when everybody was already practicing their circle walking. And if you just take a look through the room, you will see actually 3, 4, 5 different palm changes here. Palm change number 6, palm change number 5. We had the dragon in the background, the tiger, and the swallow. So yeah, quite a mixed group in Cologne this time, practicing their own or at their own level, right? While everyone is still focused on the shoulder cues that we've practiced over the past weeks. Okay, so after the initial warm-up and the preparation, the strength training, the mobility work for the wrist, we spent 15 minutes on just circle walking with all our palm changes. Depending on how many of them you learned, you would either practice all of them or focus on just one palm change specifically for 15 minutes. And then we went to the next part or the next session of our practice, which is still the posture we are holding here. That's the Teowjang, and we increased the time of the hold up to 8 minutes. So we will increase further until we have a solid 10 minutes to play with. I always get the question, so what's the goal of this? How long should we be able to hold this posture? And with all the static postures that we hold, for me it's not so much about the total amount of time that you can endure this posture, but I always like to reach at least 10 minutes of hold time when I get the feeling that I can actually hold it for 10 minutes without freaking out. So if I have 10 minutes of time where I can actually put all my focus on the different cues of my alignment, that's plenty. Okay, so I don't think it's necessary to put more minutes on the clock and become stressed out from all the tension that's creeping in. But if you have 10 solid minutes of pure focus on the cues that you're working on, that's plenty. This is enough. And everything else, of course, you can go into that rabbit hole, but you might check back if it's actually worth it to go there. Okay, so if you manage to get 10 minutes in without any pain and without too much tension creeping in your shoulders with the Teowjang posture, for example, that's perfect. Okay, so build up step by step. Increase the time maybe every other week, and just increase the time in 1 minute steps. Okay, not more, because as you will notice, like the last minutes, like minute 8, minute 9, minute 10, or maybe minute 12, they feel much longer than just one more additional minute. Okay, so take your time. The goal is not to hurt yourself or to be specifically painful. That would be ridiculous, but rather to be able to focus really on the alignment cues that you are working on. Okay, so next thing we did was a specific review of just Teowjang. Teowjang is number 6 of our 64 Houtian palms. That's the straight line forms, right? Straight line movement patterns. If you are familiar with our system, you know that those patterns are practiced on both sides. So we practice them left and right. That's very important for the concept of Bagua Zhang, that you should be adaptive as much as you can, and that you should be able to use both of your sides almost equally. So of course you will always have a preferred side. In my case it's the right side, but the other side should be your second best, not your bad side. Okay, so this is Teowjang. Important here to understand is the alignment of your arms, especially the positioning of your forearm that's protecting the head. It's a movement which goes straight on center line and then opens up to the side. So that's interesting to see. Your fist is like jumping up. Tiao means actually to jump like a horse, and the fist is moving upwards and on center line. But the second hand is moving with the first hand first, but then opening to one side. So you're moving through the center and then opening up. And you will see that in the basic application in just a second. Okay, so let's check back on this here. The front side, the front view for this motion. Okay, this is the side view. I'll get to the front view in a second. Okay, so here it's coming. Grab. Now, turn your hand, and then with my right hand in this case, I jump forward. Okay, so this is all on center line, toes, knees, hips, elbows, wrist, all in one line. And the second arm here is raised and it's protecting the head. So it's very important that your fist has some distance to your head, because otherwise you will just, knock yourself out in the process of moving forward and getting in touch with your partner. So then tiny little step forward, upper body rotation, and then when you have all the torque in your upper body, you let go of that and you step forward into a longer stance. Release the tension of the torque and then move into the long gongbu and striking down with your back fist and your forearm. So Teowjang in general is used again as an opening motion. Okay, that's the fundamental idea. So we are standing in front of a partner or opponent, and the opponent has his or her hands very close to each other, so the center line is protected. Okay, so when I jump forward with Tiao, my striking hand is moving straight forward on center line. But the secondary hand here, the job of this arm is to open this hand sideways. So I actually jump forward and I create space. That's a very important idea of this application. Okay, I jump forward on the center line, but then my secondary hand here opens to the side and I create space in the center from where I can attack further. Okay, so that's the Tiao part, jumping. You basically jump forward, you leap forward, strike straight towards the nose, so it actually creates a reaction of your partner, lifting the hands to protect the face. Okay, and then we end up in this position here where we have more space to enter. Remember, those exercises or those ideas, those are not finishing moves. Okay, it's the first step in order to make contact with your opponent. Okay, we are not in contact first, then we leap forward, and after this motion here, we have contact to both of the arms of our opponent, and that's the goal. Okay, it's very unlikely, highly unlikely, that you jump forward, you leap forward, and you hit the nose first time. You can do it with old people, kids, and drunks, but for regular people, I suggest You expect their hands to come and block your motion. For us, that's a goal achieved. Okay, so get in touch from a position, no contact to contact. That's it. Very simple. Okay, there's enough and many options for follow-up steps. The whole motion, though, has this downward strike, and that's what's interesting too. So you get in touch through crossing the arm, and then you roll around your forearm in order to strike forward and down with your back fist. Okay, that's an important feature to understand, that this strike is not just forward, but down all the way down the center line. So your goal would be to hit the nose of your partner and take it with you on your way down. Yeah, so straight down. Beautiful experience. Boom. Okay, so cross and strike. Roll around the forearm. Use the contact point as your pivot point, and then roll around and strike down with the back of your fist. Yeah, and as I said before, don't expect your opponent to not block this. It's very easy to block because it's obvious what's happening. Okay, so that's just one way to practice it. Of course, it also helps if you step into an angle. Right, I just did it. So you move forward on center line, but in the moment you pivot and you turn your hand to strike down, you also want to move a little bit off center line, not in like necessarily a 45-degree angle. This would be quite a big step, but just a little bit. Okay, you never want to stay in center or on center line after your initial move. That's not a good idea. Okay, you always move into a good spot for you and a weaker spot for your partner. So that was the first exercise. The second one is, or that's just another detailed view of the rolling of the arm and the pull or the strike down with the back fist here. So rolling and striking, and if you use your second hand, the second hand here takes over his or my partner's arm, so it won't block the way of the incoming fist. Okay, so I block the way here with my secondary hand, and now this hand is able to roll around the hand of my partner, and I can strike forward and down. Okay, bam. That's the motion. All right, but the whole form is called Teowjang for a reason, because Tiao is the leaping or the jumping forward, and just as in the form, the Tiao is actually super important for the whole application of this form, because it again creates action and reaction. Look, right, as always, when we have not yet got in touch with our partner, our opponent usually stands in his strongest posture, the posture that he chose to get the fight started. That would be amazing. Don't fart, fight. Okay, so getting the fight started, you usually choose your strongest possible position. Okay, but for me, that would mean that I first have to disturb your strong posture, and then I can enter in order to strike, to throw, or just take you down. Okay, so the Tiao part is the part that creates an interesting reaction. Because with the jump forward, you see that I'm pretending to kick to the groin. Okay, so jumping forward is followed by the back fist and the strike down. So I'm leaning and grabbing, creating a reaction of my partner. The reaction would be that he is pulled forward, and at the same time, or a little later, after he was jerked forward, he gets the back fist. Okay, so he is running into my strike. That's the idea. So cross hand, pretend the kick, create a reaction, and then pivot around the arm and strike down with your back fist. Okay, so that's the fundamental idea of Teowjang, and we will continue from there next week, where we will check out how many, or just check out follow-up motions, follow-up applications, because this again is basically from a distance. You want to engage, you want to get in touch, get connected with your opponent, and from there we take things further. Okay, finding a good finishing strike, finding a good finishing takedown, finding a good finishing throw. That's for next week. So stay tuned for episode number 30. See you there.